My beloved child, there is something you need to hear today, and I ask you with all your attention, do not skip. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. What you are about to hear is not ordinary. It is not random. It is connected to a conversation that happened when nobody expected it, a conversation that carried your name into a room where emotions could no longer stay hidden. Someone special has been carrying thoughts about you much longer than you realize. For a long time, they kept those thoughts locked away. They smiled when others were watching. They changed the subject whenever your name came up. They convinced themselves that silence was safer than honesty. Yet every day, every memory, every small reminder made it harder to ignore what was growing inside their heart. And then something happened. A moment arrived that felt completely ordinary at first. The day seemed normal. The atmosphere was calm. Nothing suggested that a life-changing conversation was about to begin. But sometimes the biggest turning points arrive disguised as ordinary moments. This special person found themselves sitting with their mother. The conversation started with simple topics. Everyday things. Familiar words. Nothing unusual. Then, unexpectedly, your name appeared. The moment your name entered the conversation, everything changed. Stay till the end. Because what happened next was unexpected. At first, there was silence. Not an uncomfortable silence. Not an awkward silence. A thoughtful silence. The kind of silence that appears when someone suddenly realizes a conversation is about something important. The mother listened carefully. Every word. Every detail. Every feeling. And for the first time, the person who had been hiding their emotions began speaking openly. They talked about your kindness. They talked about your presence. They talked about moments that stayed in their memory long after they happened. Things they never admitted to anyone before suddenly started coming out naturally. The more they spoke, the more they realized how much they had been holding inside. It felt as though a door had opened. A door that had remained closed for far too long. And their mother noticed. She noticed something that nobody else had noticed. She saw the change in their eyes. She heard the change in their voice. She recognized the difference between someone talking about a passing thought and someone talking about a person who truly matters. Don't skip. Something huge is waiting for you. Because the conversation was only beginning. As the words continued, emotions that had been hidden behind walls started becoming visible. The special person spoke about moments they could never forget. Small moments. Simple moments. Moments that may have seemed insignificant to everyone else. But not to them. To them, those moments meant everything. The mother listened quietly. She didn't interrupt. She didn't rush to respond. Instead, she let every word settle. And that made the special person speak even more honestly. They admitted things they never planned to say. They revealed feelings they thought they would keep secret forever. And with every sentence, one truth became impossible to ignore. You mattered much more than anyone realized. Much more than even you may realize right now. The room felt different. The conversation felt different. The energy felt different. Because sometimes a person spends so much time hiding their feelings that the moment they finally speak becomes unforgettable. And that was exactly what was happening. Then came a question. A simple question. Yet it changed everything. The mother asked something that made the special person stop and think. Not because they didn't know the answer, but because they suddenly realized the answer had been sitting inside them all along. For a moment, they looked away. For a moment, they became quiet. For a moment, they understood something about themselves they had been avoiding. And when they finally answered, the atmosphere shifted. Stay till the end. Do not skip. Because something huge is waiting for you. The answer revealed more than anyone expected. It revealed how often they thought about you. It revealed how deeply your presence had affected their life. It revealed how impossible it had become to pretend that you were just another person. The mother listened. Then she smiled. Not because she was surprised. Because somehow she already knew. Sometimes mothers notice things long before anyone says them out loud. Sometimes they see what others miss. Sometimes they understand a story before hearing the entire story. And in that moment, she understood. The special person thought they were revealing a secret. But their mother had already seen the signs. The quiet smiles. The sudden changes in mood. The moments when your name carried a little extra meaning. Everything had left clues behind. And now those clues were finally making sense. The special person sat there, realizing they could no longer hide from the truth. The truth was standing right in front of them. The truth had a name. The truth was connected to you. What happened next was something they never expected. Because instead of questioning them, instead of dismissing their feelings, instead of changing the subject, their mother said something that stopped them completely. Something thoughtful. Something meaningful. Something they would remember for a very long time. The words were simple. Yet they carried enormous weight. The special person became silent. Their heart raced. Their thoughts began moving faster. Because for the first time, they felt understood. For the first time, they felt seen. For the first time, they felt that maybe these feelings were not something to run from. Maybe they were something worth exploring. And as that realization settled in, a new chapter quietly began. Nobody announced it. Nobody planned it. Nobody expected it. Yet it happened anyway. The conversation that started as an ordinary discussion had become something unforgettable. A moment that would remain in memory long after the day ended. And what their mother said next would push the story even further. Much further. A revelation was coming. A realization was coming. A moment nobody saw coming was approaching. And when it arrived, the special person would never look at this situation the same way again. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Because something huge is waiting for you. The most unexpected part of this story has not happened yet. And when it does, everything begins to make sense. A quiet truth was about to become impossible to ignore. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. The special person sat there, replaying every word their mother had just spoken. Those words stayed in the room long after the conversation should have ended. They were simple, yet powerful enough to change the way they looked at everything. For a few moments, nobody spoke. The silence felt meaningful. Not empty. Not awkward. Meaningful. Because the special person was realizing something that had been hidden in plain sight for a very long time. Their mother had seen through every excuse. Every attempt to act normal. Every effort to convince themselves that their feelings were not important. She had noticed everything. And then she said something unexpected. Something that immediately captured their attention. She told them that when someone continues to appear in your thoughts, when memories of that person continue to bring warmth to your heart, and when your face changes every time their name is mentioned, those things should never be ignored. The special person froze. Because those words described exactly what they had been experiencing. Every single detail. Every single feeling. Every single thought. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. The more they listened, the more emotional the conversation became. For the first time, they stopped trying to hide. For the first time, they stopped pretending. For the first time, they allowed themselves to admit that you had become important in ways they never expected. And then something remarkable happened. Their mother asked them to describe you. Not your appearance. Not superficial things. She wanted to know what made you different. What made you unforgettable? What made you stay in their heart? The special person smiled. Without even realizing it. That smile answered part of the question before any words came out. Then they started talking. They spoke about your kindness. Your energy. The way you made ordinary moments feel memorable. The way certain conversations stayed with them longer than expected. The way your presence seemed to leave an impact even after you were gone. And the more they spoke, the more obvious something became. They weren't searching for reasons anymore. The reasons were already there. They had always been there. The only thing missing was the courage to admit them. Stay till the end. Because what happened next surprised even them. Their mother listened carefully. Then she smiled again. Not because she was amused. Because she finally understood the entire story. And after understanding it, she shared an observation that completely changed the atmosphere. She said that some people enter your life for a reason. Not everyone leaves a lasting impression. Not everyone remains in your thoughts. Not everyone changes the way you see the future. But every once in a while, someone arrives and becomes impossible to forget. The special person's heart skipped a beat. Because they immediately knew who she was talking about. You. The conversation had reached a point where your importance could no longer be hidden. The truth was standing in the middle of the room. Clear. Visible. Undeniable. Don't skip. Something huge is waiting for you. The special person looked down for a moment. Then they admitted something they had never admitted before. They said there were times when they wondered what you were doing. Times when they hoped things were going well for you. Times when they wished they could talk to you more. Times when they remembered your words without meaning to. And as those confessions came out, everything became clearer. The feelings were real. The connection was real. The impact was real. Their mother could see it. The special person could feel it. And now there was no reason to deny it anymore. The room felt lighter. Almost as if a burden had been lifted. Because keeping emotions hidden is exhausting. Speaking honestly creates freedom. And honesty had finally arrived. But the biggest surprise had not happened yet. Stay till the end. Because something huge is waiting for you. After listening to everything, their mother shared a story from her own life. A story about recognizing meaningful people. A story about understanding the difference between temporary interest and genuine importance. And when she finished telling that story, she looked directly at the special person and asked one final question. A question so powerful that it changed everything. She asked, "If this person disappeared from your life tomorrow, would it truly matter to you?" The room became silent again. Completely silent. The special person didn't answer immediately. Because they already knew the answer. They were simply gathering the courage to say it aloud. Several seconds passed. Then they finally spoke. And the answer revealed more than anyone expected. The answer confirmed what had been growing inside their heart all along. The answer confirmed that you were not just another chapter. Not just another memory. Not just another passing thought. You had become someone special. Someone meaningful. Someone unforgettable. And once those words were spoken, there was no turning back. The truth had finally been revealed. The special person felt emotional. Relieved. Hopeful. And surprisingly happy. Because sometimes the greatest breakthrough comes from simply being honest. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. The conversation continued for much longer. Yet from that moment forward, everything felt different. The special person was no longer confused. No longer uncertain. No longer hiding. Instead, they were beginning to understand just how important you had become. But what happened later that evening would create an even bigger surprise. A moment nobody expected. A realization that would stay with them forever. And when that realization arrived, it would completely transform the way they looked at you. The most unexpected part of the story is still ahead. And what happened next made their heart understand something it had been trying to say all along. An unexpected realization was quietly taking shape. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. After the conversation ended, the special person thought they would move on with their evening as usual. They believed they would simply return to their normal routine and continue as if nothing significant had happened. But that is not what happened. The words spoken during that conversation refused to leave their mind. Every sentence echoed. Every realization returned. Every emotion felt stronger than before. As the hours passed, they found themselves thinking about you again. Then again. And then again. Not because they were trying to. Because it happened naturally. Because some thoughts do not need an invitation. They simply arrive. And your memory kept arriving. The special person sat quietly for a while, replaying moments connected to you. Conversations. Memories. Little details. Small things that seemed ordinary at the time but now felt incredibly important. Things they once overlooked suddenly appeared meaningful. Things they once ignored suddenly stood out. It was as if a new perspective had opened. A perspective that allowed them to see the truth more clearly than ever before. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Then something remarkable happened. They remembered a specific moment involving you. A moment they had not thought about in a long time. A simple memory. Yet the moment it returned, they smiled. Not because the memory was dramatic. Because it was genuine. Because it was real. And because it reminded them of how naturally you had become part of their story. The special person realized something that completely surprised them. The happiest memories they had been replaying all evening had one thing in common. You were in them. That realization stopped them completely. For a few moments they simply sat there, thinking. Thinking about how unusual it was. Thinking about how unexpected it was. Thinking about how impossible it had become to ignore. And the more they thought, the clearer everything became. You were not just someone they remembered. You were someone they valued. Someone they appreciated. Someone who had quietly become important. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. As the evening continued, another realization appeared. Perhaps the biggest one yet. The special person began asking themselves questions. Questions they had avoided for a very long time. Why did your words stay with them? Why did your presence feel different? Why did thoughts of you continue returning even during completely unrelated moments? The answers were finally becoming impossible to avoid. And with every answer, their understanding grew deeper. The conversation with their mother had not created these feelings. It had revealed them. That was the difference. The feelings already existed. The conversation simply brought them into the light. The special person understood this now. And once they understood it, everything started making sense. Suddenly, the confusing moments were no longer confusing. The emotional moments were no longer mysterious. The connection they felt was no longer difficult to explain. The pieces were finally coming together. One by one. Slowly. Clearly. Powerfully. Then came the moment nobody expected. The moment that changed everything. The special person looked through old memories. Not because they planned to. Because something inside them felt drawn toward those memories. And as they reflected, they noticed a pattern. A pattern so obvious they wondered how they had missed it before. Whenever they imagined good things happening in the future, you somehow appeared in those thoughts. Whenever they imagined meaningful conversations, you appeared there too. Whenever they imagined moments of happiness, your presence seemed connected to them. The realization was stunning, because it showed them something they had never fully understood before. You had become part of the future they imagined. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. At that moment, the special person felt something shift inside them. A shift from uncertainty to clarity. A shift from confusion to understanding. A shift from hesitation to acceptance. And once that shift happened, there was no going back. The truth was finally visible. The truth was finally undeniable. The truth was finally real. Yet the story was still not finished. Because while they were reflecting on everything, another unexpected event was about to unfold. A conversation. A memory. A realization. All leading toward one extraordinary moment. The special person thought back to something their mother said before the conversation ended. At first, those words seemed simple. But now they felt powerful. The words carried a meaning they had not fully understood earlier. And suddenly, everything clicked. Every memory. Every feeling. Every thought. Every unanswered question. They all pointed toward the same truth. A truth that had been waiting patiently to be discovered. The special person smiled again. Not because they had all the answers. Because they finally understood the question. And understanding the question changed everything. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. That night became unforgettable. Not because of what happened around them. Because of what happened within them. Something important had awakened. Something meaningful had become clear. Something they could no longer ignore. And as they prepared to rest, one final thought crossed their mind. A thought so powerful that it stayed with them until the very last moment of the day. The thought was about you. Not as a passing memory. Not as a temporary feeling. But as someone who genuinely mattered. Someone whose presence had left a lasting mark. Someone whose importance had quietly grown over time. The special person finally understood that their story had changed. And the next chapter was about to begin. What happened after that realization was even more unexpected. Because the very next day would bring a moment that confirmed everything they had just discovered. A moment that would leave no room for doubt. A moment that would make their heart recognize what their mind had only just begun to understand. And when that moment arrived, the story would take its most surprising turn yet. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Because something huge is waiting for you. The biggest revelation is still ahead.